U.S. President Donald Trump has extended an immigration designation granting protected status to Liberians, allowing them to stay for another year. Africa 54's Esther Githui-Ewart has more. Esther?
President Trump's announcement was unexpected and came just 3 days before the Liberian status was set to expire. Trump last year ordered an end to deferred and forced departure eligibility for Liberians, a status first granted to them during the presidency of Republican George W. Bush that enabled the immigrants to work and protected them from deportation. Trump declared a one-year wind-down period, which set the final expiration date of the status for March 31st. But on Thursday, the president had a change of mind, saying, quote, "Upon further reflection and review, I have decided that it is in the foreign policy interest of the United States to extend the wind-down period for an additional 12 months through March 30th, 2020. The president's memorandum was released by the White House to his secretaries of state and Homeland Security. Now, for more insight into this story, I'm joined in the studio by Wala Blegay, an American of Liberian and Nigerian descent, a labor lawyer, activist, and adjunct professor. Wala, welcome to Africa 54.
Thank you for having me.
Now, how important is the president's announcement on these affected Liberians?
This is very important. This goes back to 1991. Through the Immigration Act of 1991, Liberians were able to come here during the Civil War. The Civil War started in 1989, but when they came here on temporary protective status. This was because of the Civil War in Liberia. They maintained that status for 9 years in 1999. Then in 2000, for the first time, President Bill Clinton actually granted DED, so the deferred and forced departure. But then the war broke out again in 2002, and then he had to give them TPS again until the actual 2006, when President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, the president of Liberia, was elected. At that time, the president, George Bush, actually enforced DED. And this was actually, it's very much like this. We had the activists got together and started to lobby because he felt like maybe the Liberians did not need it anymore because now there was a stable president. But the war, it turned from war about civil war into poverty. The fact that Liberia could not sustain additional individuals to come back to the country. And that continued through the Obama administration. And now we've come to Trump, and they have had sort of a response of maybe not, like, why can't Liberians go back? But the change of heart is because of the hard work of activists, making it clear that Liberia could not sustain more individuals.
So, you've been at the forefront as a supporter of these Liberians, but how much do you think this one-year wind-down period can help you achieve what Liberians expect to see that are affected by this legislation?
Well, these Liberians have been here for almost 30 years. So at this point, they are Americans. They've been here a very long time. They have their kids here, everyone here. And now we're looking at legislation. We would need about a year to ensure that legislation will be passed. We're looking at the Dream and Promise Act, H.R. 6, which has been introduced on March 12th. But we needed time. And we made that clear to the president when we reached out to the staff there that we needed time for this bill to pass.
But that's controversial, because when you say they are Americans and they are being referred to as illegal immigrants, I mean, the law applies the same way to any other illegal immigrants. What makes them Americans? Well,
they've never actually been illegal immigrants. They've had legal status in this country since 1991. It was actually one of those where we were coming to the point that they might be after the 31st. But on Thursday, as you stated, there was the announcement there. But the point is that, you know, many people look at illegal immigrants as people who came into the country illegally. We're trying to tell Liberians have a different story. Not only does Liberia have a history with the United States, as you can see was mentioned in a memorandum for the president, but these people came here legally and have always been in the United States legally.
But you know, Wala, there's a question of overstaying your visa or your legal status that makes you illegal. I mean, I'm an immigrant too. We had to go through a process to become, you know, legal permanent residents and become American citizens. So what really makes their case different?
The war. The war makes their thing. They came here during the war, during a very troubling time in Liberia, and things have not changed. In fact, many Liberians in Liberia really rely on Liberians in America for survival because the country has an over 85% unemployment rate. We're talking about there's lack of food, there's lack of security, there is lack of health care does not exist. You send these people back and you're sending families into more poverty and increasing the ability for those to survive. That will be, you know, that can bring Liberia back into war.
Well, Wala, I think we'll have to leave it there for now, and we'll see what happens in the 1 year, whether you can get a legislation passed by Congress. Thank you very much for coming on Africa 54. Wala Blegay is a labor lawyer, activist, and adjunct professor. Vincent, back to you.